All right, I saw this story on the CBC website. Halifax explosion artifacts were pulled from the harbor last year. So now what? Fragments recovered are far larger than most known ones and historically significant, according to some. Joining me here in studio to talk about all of this is Joel Zemel, who's written several books on the Halifax explosion. Joel, thanks for joining me.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
All right, give everybody a little background on what you've done here when it comes to the Halifax explosion.
Well, I've written 3 books that are explosion related, but I've spent a lot of time on the ships themselves, like the 2 main ships, Mont-Blanc and Emo. And in 2013, they were dredging the harbor. This is just, I think, before they built the assembly hall. Irving built the assembly hall on Barrington Street there, and they were dredging up all of these pieces from where Piers 7 and 8 used to be. So you get a lot of railway car pieces and things like that. So you're not going to get any ship material. But I still thought it would be important to have an on-site archaeologist. So I had a back and forth with the Nova Scotia Museum, and they had done an assessment in 2011, and they decided that there wasn't enough reason to pursue any kind of archaeological investigation into that particular section. So they said that I found out who the dredger was, and I went down to the site. I talked to people at Irving and found out a few things, but ultimately the Nova Scotia Museum did not really feel it was worthwhile doing anything at that time. But they said that if they find anything around Pier 6, that they would, that the people working there know enough to get in contact, and things would be done at that time. So then they built the assembly hall over Pier 6, which I think was a terrible mistake. It destroyed a legacy that Halifax should have for as long as Halifax exists, and now it's gone forever. Because I don't blame Irving for that. I'm just saying that whoever was calling the shots at the time made a terrible decision by destroying that legacy of the Halifax explosion. You wouldn't see that at 9/11. You wouldn't see it at Pearl Harbor. It's just our legacy, but it no longer exists. Now, Irving wants to reclaim 13 more acres, build 18 caissons, to raise and lower the battleships that they build for the Canadian Navy. Now, in 2020, I received a great gift from the Lloyd's of London Heritage Foundation, 3.5 gigs of one-to-one plans of Mont Blanc and Emo, and I wanted to write a paper on their. Each one had a sister ship, the Fangape for Mont Blanc and the Kufik for Emo, which was originally Runic 1. And so I applied to the museum, to the Nova Scotia Museum, and they turned my request down, unfortunately. So I had all of this material that I never really got a chance to use. But one of the interesting pieces in that material was a report by W.H. Cooper, which listed all of the. It had all of the one-to-one maps, the plans of the ships, Mont Blanc and Runic and Kufik and Fangape, plus the surveyor's reports and boilers. I mean, you name it, everything was there. And it had no watermarks on it. It was just a wonderful thing. It was sort of like I feel like it was all dressed up and nowhere to go. But anyway, the report laid out fundamentally every piece of metal that was on the ship, its width, its breadth, its length, all the rivets, the size of the rivets, the spacing of the rivets. So all of the information that really you would need to figure out whether pieces belong to the Mont Blanc or not would be in this report that was done in 1899. Now, I read the 400-plus page Freedom of Information Act material that was retrieved by CBC, and one of the things that really bothered me about it, just as an historian, was that everything was in house. There was no to my knowledge and to what was in the report, they did not use any outside expert opinions. And I'm not talking about just historians. I'm talking about, marine experts, historical people, people who knew the harbor, people like Mac Mackay or Gordon Fader who did, who mapped the harbor and knew of the existence of all of this stuff. I mean, the more eyes you have on it, the more you can figure out whether these things are actually from Mont Blanc or not. And they're digging in the right place, the end of Pier 6. But I just found the lack of transparency and the secrecy, like nobody knew where these pieces were being kept. Nobody knew what was being dredged up. The only reason I know is because of the report that I read, and they brought up approximately 127 pieces. Most of it was they brought up 99 riveted plates, 16 riveted strapping, 2 anchors, various steel fragments, wooden keels, timber, smaller pieces. But the museum, according to the CBC article, is only keeping a rivet, one rivet, and one small piece of it because they claim not to have any space. Right. Well, I figure if you want the space, you make the space. Some of those pieces were 22 feet long. So, and their methodology for figuring out whether these pieces actually were part of Mont Blanc, I found their methodology a little bit questionable.
So do you think that they are from Mont Blanc?
No, they could be, but even like without any kind of serial numbers, without any kind of definitive, like you can't really tell by photographic comparison. Sure, it would look the same. You could. I mean, if you read the report, you can, even with all of the possible damage done by the explosion, the twisting, and the malformation of the pieces. I mean, you can tell whether it's double riveted, treble riveted, or quadruple riveted. You can find out from the report where these pieces were. You can find out what kind of rivet. They were iron rivets. They wanted to do metallurgic tests. I'm not really sure what the purpose of that would be. I mean, we know that they were made. The Mont Blanc pieces were made of iron. Maybe the metallurgic test would, but Public Works didn't want to pay for it. Irving certainly shouldn't have to pay for it, and so they wouldn't get done. So, but my basic concern is like nobody knows where they are. Nobody knows. Nobody has seen them. I wouldn't have known if I hadn't been asked to do the interview for CBC. So I just feel that this stuff is important, and the more eyes you have on it, I don't know what the big secret is. And the fact that they're only keeping a couple of very small pieces tells me that it really doesn't carry any weight. It doesn't have any importance. And I think anybody who's read anything on the explosion, who knows anything about the explosion, finds that kind of it's disparaging. It's discouraging that people aren't more interested. I mean, the whole underwater archaeological thing, like once they build, it's already been destroyed by the construction of the assembly hall. But once they fully fill in that, it's gone forever. I mean, it already is. I mean, for all intents and purposes. And, I had an article in the National Post done in 2014 where I kind of excoriated the city and Irving, and the mayor made a statement and Irving made a statement. But a week after that, nothing happened. Nobody cared. So I think that historians care, the ones of us that are left. I mean, people like Alan Ruffman, who was just rabid about it, Janet Kitts. I mean, we all had, our own particular facet of the explosion that we all studied and cared about. But it seems that as the years go by, the general appetite for explosion-related material is gone. And of course, now that the actual physical area is going to be gone permanently, it takes away from it. The only artifact that's left in all of Halifax that shows that we actually had an explosion is an abutment that is behind Discount Fuels down on Barrington Street.
Yeah.
And once those leases are up, I don't know when, Irving will take that over, and that will be destroyed. So we really don't have anything left. So I don't know what they're going to do. I think they should take more pieces, but that's not up to me, and I'm not in any kind of loop, and I don't want to disparage anybody. I just feel that it would have been better if there was more transparency.
Interesting. Okay, Joel, listen, thanks for coming in.
Hey,
Very,
man.
very interesting chat. Appreciate it.
Always nice talking to you.
Okay, pal. Take care. Joel Zemel, written several books on the Halifax explosion. I was called to Dr. John Gillis when we come back.